Hello guys and girls out there, wherever you are. Welcome to another totally random video. And in today's video I want to do a little side-by-side comparison between the Casio G-Shock DW5600 and the GW5610. I know there have already been videos on YouTube of people comparing those two versions, or these two versions, but they always forgot like one or two, in my opinion, small and also important details. So first I'm going to talk about the obvious differences before I start talking about the smaller differences, and then you can decide which one of these watches is really the best for you, because it depends on personal preference. So first let's start off with the DW5600. So it is a normal standard or square standard G-Shock. It's 200 meter water resistant as well as shock resistant, and we have the normal timekeeping mode, as well as an alarm, a timer, and a stopwatch. And that's pretty much about it. When it comes to the 5610, we also have all these features, plus we have also a world time feature, an alarm, and we have 5 different alarms instead of just one, stopwatch, timer, and that's about it. But because this is the more expensive version, it's also a solar powered watch, so it has tough solar, and it is a multi-band 6 radio controlled watch. And because it's solar powered, it also has a power save mode. If that is activated, if you put the watch in a dark place, for example a drawer, after 60 to 70 minutes the display will turn itself off and only PS for power save is going to flash. And then after 6 to 7 days the entire display turns off, so even the PS will disappear, and it will also turn off the backlight and the alarms, or at least the tone, the signal tone, as well as the auto receive. So that's quite nice. You can access, or no, not access, you can exit this power save mode simply by placing the watch at a brighter spot, holding it into light, or pushing one of the buttons, or just simply move the watch towards you. Like if you have it on your wrist, move your wrist, like if you want to read the time, and it automatically turns itself back on. I never really understood why only solar powered watches have a power save feature. I mean, we also want to prolong the life of the battery life of this watch, but that's just the way it is. And yeah, both of these watches have a backlight as well, and I think it stays on a little bit longer on the on the 5600 it stays on a little bit longer. So let's see if I can pull this one off. There you could see it. And it's also a little bit brighter on the 5600. But yeah, like I said, they both have a backlight as well as an additional backlight feature, and it's a different one for each one of those watches. So on the 5610, this backlight feature is the auto illumination, or automatic backlight, which means if it's activated and you activate it by push and hold the backlight button for a couple of seconds. If it's activated, the watch will detect when it's bright and when it's dark, and when it's dark enough and you move your wrist towards you, the backlight will automatically turn on for about 1.5 seconds. So that's a very nice and very convenient feature, although it sometimes is going to be, it will sometimes activate the backlight if you wear something long sleeved and the watch is underneath the sleeve, so it thinks, okay, now it's dark, now I have to activate the backlight whenever he moves his wrist in that 40-degree angle. But still, it's a nice, useful feature if you don't want to use both hands just to check the time when it's dark. On the 5600, this backlight feature is being activated by push and holding this button right here. So we can see that little symbol right there. And that backlight feature, it means that when every time an alarm goes off or the hourly chime, the backlight will also flash with the alarm. So it's kind of like another visual indicator that the alarm just went off, which could be very useful, for example, for, I don't know, deaf people who don't really hear the alarm, or also normal people, well, normal people sound stupid, other non-deaf people, if you are in a loud and noisy place and you don't hear the alarm, this way you can at least see the alarm. I know you don't always have your watch in sight, but yeah, I think it's still kind of a nice and useful feature. So yeah, now let's get into the smaller details, because automatically you would think, okay, this watch has all the features that this watch has, plus it is radio controlled and it's solar powered and it has a world time feature and 5 alarms instead of 1. So you would automatically think that this watch is the better watch. But that might not actually be true. So now let's talk about why that is, or why they have small features that can really make a difference. So something that the 5600 actually does better than the 5610, if we enter a different mode. So for example, the timer, we can still see the current time in the upper corner and in the stopwatch as well. So that's a very nice and useful thing. But we don't have that on the 5610. So on the stopwatch it just says, I don't know, DH or something. And on the timer just zeros. So we don't have that feature, and that's kind of a little shame. It's a little bit of a shame. But then again, the 5610 has another function that I wish we would also have on the 5600. And that feature is the ability to turn off the keytones. Yeah, that's something that I find really nice and useful, because whenever I'm surrounded by people, for example in a public place, and I adjust something on my watch, I don't like to annoy the people around me with that stupid constant beeping. So that's something that I really like about the 5610. But then again, there is something that the 5600 does, in my opinion, better than the 5610. And this is the alarm. I know you probably wonder, what are you talking about? The 5600 only has one alarm, and the 5610 has 5 different alarms, including one with a snooze feature. So how is one alarm better than 5? Well, very simple. On the 5600, we can not only set the time for the alarm, but the date as well. And that's something that I find really useful. So here we can set the month, and here we can set the day. We can also set the watch to only, or the alarm to only go off on the first of each month. So it is a very nice and convenient thing. And this way you can use this alarm as a reminder for an appointment or something like that. So that's something that I really like. But then again, of course, like with everything, there is a downside to it. And that downside is you can only scroll through the numbers in one direction. So for example, if I want to set the time to 5 past midnight and I would accidentally push it too many times so that I'm now at 6 and I want to go back, well, that doesn't work. I don't know, this button doesn't have any function right now in this mode, so why couldn't I use this button to just go back? This sucks because now I have to go all the way until I'm back where I wanted to be. And that's something that the 5610 does better, because on this watch we can go backward and forward when we want to set an alarm. So that's very nice and useful, and it could save you a lot of time, as you just saw. But there is again another thing that the 5600 does better, because now I adjusted the alarm, right? So usually we still have two more modes to come, the stopwatch and the timer. But if I push mode right now, I automatically jump back to the current time, to the timekeeping mode. So I don't have to go through all those different modes when I adjusted the alarm. It jumps right back to the timekeeping mode. Well, this is something that the 5610 doesn't do. So here, if I am in the alarm mode and I turn the alarm on and I want to adjust the alarm, wait a second, that's also a thing. I have to hold the adjust button to enter the adjust mode. Here I just push adjust once when I want to adjust the alarm. But here pushing it once only turns the alarm on and off. Well, here you turn the alarm on and off if you are with another button, if you are not in the adjust mode. But yeah, so I just adjusted the alarm. So that's it. But now I have to go through all the other modes like stopwatch and timer before I'm back in the timekeeping mode. So that's also something that the 5600 does a little bit better. So yeah, there is like a downside for everything. Even if this watch does something better than this watch, it screws up with something else. So it's really weird. It really is. It's like they want to force you to buy both watches to be fully satisfied. And that just sucks. So yeah, I think that's it for now. I don't know if I forgot something. Nah, I don't think so. We have an hourly chime on both of these watches. Well, we can talk a little bit more about the 5610 because it has more features. So for example, let's talk about the auto receive. So this watch receives the signal of the hometown you're in, or whatever you set as your hometown. And it starts at midnight, and it tries to receive the signal every hour, always on every full hour, until I believe 6 in the morning. But if it already received that signal and successfully synchronized at, let's say, 3 in the morning, it doesn't do the remaining cycles. So it doesn't do anything on 4, 5, or 6 because it already has the correct time. But for some reason, my watch, it only starts synchronizing at 3 in the morning. It doesn't start at 12. It doesn't do anything at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. It really just starts at 3 o'clock, and then it immediately finds the right signal. So I don't know if it just automatically tries to receive the correct signal after 24 hours. And because it received the signal at 3, we can see right here, if we push this button, when it received at 3, 2 minutes after 3 on the 5th of October. So maybe after 24 hours it starts again. So it has nothing to do with starting at midnight or something like that. I don't know. But you can turn it off if you don't want that auto receive for some for some reason. And you can also manually search for that signal. And when you do a manual search, you also have an indicator L1 all the way to L3. So that's the strength of the signal. And you can use that to figure out where you have the best reception in your house. So this way you know where to place the watch before you go to bed, so that it receives the signal without any problems if it does the auto sync. So yeah, that's it. That's my review, or whatever you might call it, of the DW5600 and the GW5610. I hope you liked that video, and thanks for watching, and I see you in the next totally random video. Bye.